Welcome back. This is Chapter 3, Part 2. In this section, we'll be focusing on the campus land use development and infrastructure plan, where everything comes together, from your vision and strategies to the actual land use plans, development concepts, and investment programs. We'll walk through key components such as your vision, mission, and goals, development strategies, land use planning, infrastructure needs, and implementation plans. This is a comprehensive section, so let's take it step by step. Now we arrive at the heart of the document. Part 3, the Campus Land Use Development and Infrastructure Plan. This is the forward-looking section. Everything in Parts 1 and 2 was about understanding your campus. Part 3 is about transforming it. It's organized into 3 subgroups plus 4 foundational sections at the top. The 4 foundational sections, sections 3.1 through 3.4, establish your strategic direction before the specific plans begin. Then come the 3 plan groups. Group A, the Campus Land Use Plan. Group B, the Campus Master Development Plan and Investment Programs. Group C, the Site Development Plan. Let's walk through all of them. Section 3.1, Vision, Mission, Goals, and Objectives. Restate the VMGO of CPSU as they relate to physical and infrastructure development. These are the guiding principles for every land use and infrastructure decision in the plan. Everything that follows must be traceable back to this statement. Section 3.2, Development Constraints and Physical Development Strategies. Drawing from your findings in Part 2, summarize the key development barriers your campus faces and present the strategies you're proposing to overcome them. This is the bridge between your current reality and your future plan. Section 3.3, Development Concept and Structure Plan. Articulate the overall development approach for your campus. What is the conceptual framework? What are the land use categories? How do you envision the spatial structure of the campus evolving over the planning period? This section gives your LUDIP its big idea, the organizing vision that makes everything else coherent. Section 3.4, Alignment with LGU zoning ordinances. Your campus doesn't exist in isolation from its host municipality. This section requires you to conduct a comparative analysis of your proposed land uses against local government zoning regulations and to identify any adjustments needed to ensure compatibility. Alignment with the LGU is not optional. It's a legal requirement. Group A, Campus Land Use Plan, is where you define how every part of your campus will be used. Section 3.5, Land Use Allocations. Define and map the zones. Academic areas, residential zones, support service areas. Provide a visual and narrative overview of land use designations across all campuses. Section 3.6, Land Use Strategy and Space Allocation. Explain the rationale behind your land use decisions. Compare current space usage against projected future requirements. This section justifies why you're allocating land the way you are, and reviewers will look at it carefully. Section 3.7, Circulation and Traffic Management. Present strategies for improving movement within the campus. Include traffic flow patterns, pedestrian safety plans, and measures to optimize access and transportation. A campus that's safe and easy to navigate supports everything else you're trying to achieve. Section 3.8, Open and Green Space Network. Detail your plan for integrating green and open spaces into campus development. This includes recreational areas, green corridors, and landscape features that promote environmental balance and campus wellness. Green space is not a luxury. It is a planning requirement and a quality of life necessity. Section 3.9, Land Use Policies. Establish the regulatory and policy framework that will govern land use decisions and enforcement on your campus. These policies give your LUDIP teeth. They determine what can be built where and under what conditions. Group B, Campus Master Development Plan and Investment Programs, turns your vision into a financially grounded action plan. Section 3.10, Infrastructure Needs and Cost Estimates. Identify the specific infrastructure required to support your land use goals. New classrooms, laboratories, dormitories, roads, utility systems, and more. For each item, provide an estimated cost. This section directly responds to RA 11396 requirement for a detailed infrastructure needs assessment. Section 3.11, Investment Plan and Funding Strategies. Outline how you're going to pay for all of this. Include a phasing strategy. Not everything can or should be built at once, and identify your funding sources. These may include the General Appropriations Act, public-private partnerships, grants, loans, or other institutional funds. A LUDIP without a realistic investment plan is just a wish list. Sections 3.10 and 3.11 are what make your plan actionable. Group C, Site Development Plan brings everything down to the ground level, literally. Section 3.12, General Layout and Site Configuration. Present a general layout map of campus facilities showing functional zones and the spatial relationships between key infrastructure components. This is your campus master map, the visual centerpiece of the entire LUDIP. Section 3.13, Parking, Streets, Landscaping, and Lighting. Address the aesthetic and functional design elements of your campus. Include site maps with design features for roads, parking areas, landscape improvements, and lighting systems. These details matter. They determine whether the campus feels safe, functional, and welcoming. Section 3.14, Phase Development and Implementation Schedule. Provide a clear timeline and action plan for implementing your proposed developments. Break it into phases, assign target dates, and set performance indicators to monitor progress. This section transforms your plan from a document into a management tool, something you can actually use to track whether development is happening on schedule. Finally, Part 4, Annexes and Supporting Documents, is where you attach all the evidence that supports everything you've written. The required annexes include Annex A, GIS maps, land use, cadastral, zoning, utilities, hazard, and more. Annex B, inventory tables, facilities, utilities, and real property. Annex C, architectural designs and cost estimates for dormitories and housing. Annex D, legal instruments and land titles. Annex E, reference maps and technical reports. Annex F, minutes of consultations, LGU coordination records, and stakeholder inputs. Annex G, relevant permits, licenses, and certifications. And Annex H, glossary of terms. The annexes are not afterthoughts. They are the proof. Every claim you make in the body of the LUDIP, every map, every figure, every proposed project should be backed up by something in the annexes. A LUDIP without complete annexes is an incomplete LUDIP. Before we close, a word on the general guidelines section of Chapter 3, because it applies to everything we just covered. The manual reminds us that these guidelines exist to help campus planning teams ensure that every required component is thoroughly addressed, coherent, and aligned with the Commission on Higher Education prescribed framework. 3 reminders to carry as you write. First, be comprehensive. Every section has a purpose and a content requirement. Don't skip sections just because they seem difficult or data-intensive. If a section is hard to write, that usually means the data needs to be gathered, not that the section can be omitted. Second, be evidence-based. Every proposal, every strategy, every projection must be justified with data or documented precedent. Opinions are not enough. The LUDIP is a planning document, not an essay. Third, be consistent. Use consistent terminology, consistent headings, consistent fonts, and numbering systems. A well-formatted, internally consistent document is a sign of a well-organized team, and it makes the reviewer's job much easier. Here are your key takeaways from Chapter 3. 1. The LUDIP document has 4 major parts: brief profile, detailed description, the plan itself, and annexes. Each part has a distinct purpose and a specific set of required content. 2. Part 2 is your situational analysis, an honest, data-driven picture of your campus as it is today, including its constraints, risks, and opportunities. And 3. Part 3 is your vision made concrete, land use allocations, infrastructure programs, investment plans, and a phased implementation schedule, all grounded in your VMGO and aligned with your LGU. In our next lecture, we move into Chapter 4, Technical Notes and Writing Tips, covering GIS standards and mapping formats, file submission requirements, citation standards, terminology consistency, gender-inclusive language, and additional writing tips to make your LUDIP document as professional and credible as possible. If Chapter 3 told you what to write, Chapter 4 will tell you how to write it well. See you in the next lecture. For questions or technical assistance, reach out to the Planning and Development Office at cpsu_pdo@cpsu.edu.ph or cpsu.ludip@gmail.com. Thank you, and see you next time.